Why is the manifestation not coming? In this video, I'm going to be breaking down some major misperceptions and some really incorrect focal points that we tend to have that cause the manifestation not to come. And I'm going to be explaining exactly what you want to be focusing on instead. This is a very important video. My name is Adam. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Before we get started, I just want to let you know I'm doing some free breakthrough calls. There's a link pinned in the comment section below. What's a breakthrough call? It's a call where we go over your vision for your life, and I help you kind of troubleshoot what's been coming up or blocking your vision from becoming a reality. And then we get into some things that you can do to really iron out what's going on and create the life that you want. Okay, so in my last video on manifestation, I talked a little bit about why it's so difficult nowadays, or a lot of people are having a hard time with manifesting what they want, and why there's way too much focus on manifesting in general, and why it's necessary or a good thing to sort of mostly throw away the idea of manifestation. Now, I want to clarify a few things. If you didn't see that video, you can just follow along because you'll get the gist of it here anyway. We are always manifesting all the time. You're a co-creator. You're co-creating with Source. You have your individual identity, and then you have Source. And everyone around you is an aspect of you. We create our own reality to an extent, but we do have to be aware of the reality that we are in. One of the problems with believing so much that it's all you and only you is that when you have that perception too much, it begins to separate you from everything else. You individuate too much, and suddenly you start to disconnect from Source. Manifestation is a co-creative thing. Now, there are so many videos on Neville Goddard, and Neville Goddard was amazing. He was amazing. But one of the things that Neville Goddard would say is that he and God were one. Okay? The vast majority of the people right now who are obsessed with manifestation are not in that state yet. And that is the primary reason why it's so hard to create what you want. And they're not focused on getting into that state. They're focused on getting what they want, which brings you into ego. It brings you into trying to control the external, which you can't do. You can only control your own responses, reactions, and internal state. That's the only power any of us have. And it creates lots and lots of attachment. When we talk about manifesting what you want, it's like, yes, but who are you? Who is the you that you're identifying with? Another key point here is that Neville Goddard was speaking in a time where we were not as generally aligned or aligning with Source as we are now, which means the rules of the game were not quite as hard. So you didn't have to necessarily be completely embodied with your higher self in order to have more access to create what you want. There was more leeway for you to do it with your ego or do it with your mind. It's a different world now. So it's not like anything that he talked about was incorrect. It's not. It's just that as we collectively evolve, the rules of the game and the dynamics of the game that we're in begin to fluctuate and change and evolve as well. You can't completely separate yourself from the game that you're playing. You have to accept to some extent, if you want to exist in a body on this earth, there are rules to the game. You can't paint a painting using no color that exists on Earth, and then expect people to like it because they're not going to understand it. There are rules, and as we evolve, the rules upgrade. One of the major problems with focusing so much on the manifestation is that we lose that connection internally, and we lose the focus that helps us to actually feel whole and complete. The idea is not to get the thing, because as soon as you get the thing, you're just going to want something else. And if you don't enjoy the process, you're not going to enjoy the thing except for more than, 10, 15, 20 seconds or a few days. It's going to wear off and you're going to be back to where you were before. And if it's desperate and needy and unhappy because you need the thing, that's where you're going to be. It's about the journey. It's about who you become in the process. So it's good to have a desire. It's good to have something you want to create. But that's just kind of a goal. It's just a marking point that then informs all of the steps that are necessary for you to take to evolve into that person who has whatever that thing is. So it's like you want to kind of ask for something that's good, and then just completely let it go and focus on the internal evolution, because that's what we're all here to do. We're here to evolve, to grow. It's consciousness going through itself to experience different things. Nobody's really right. Nobody's really wrong. Everybody's kind of right. You can see anything from this kaleidoscope of infinite perceptions. And whatever your perception is, it's perfectly fine. On a high enough level, there's no right, wrong, good, or evil. In our world, that does exist. And it's important to understand this sort of upping and downing and traversing through dimensions of existence. Another key point here about a lot of the Neville Goddard stuff that I've heard is a lot of people will debate whether or not you need to take action. I mean, seriously, why do you want to adopt the perception that you don't need to take any action? It's not that you don't need to take any action at all. How are you going to build a website if you don't build the website? How are you going to build a house if you don't take action to build the house? Even if you want to manifest someone building the house for you, are you not going to have to pick up a phone and call someone or talk to someone? There's always an action. It's about aligned action versus forceful action. When you're really in the space of feeling as if you already have it and being the person and doing the things that that person would do, you will have more synchronistic sort of things that show up, and they feel more effortless, and it flows better. You're still taking action. You're not going to drive from here to New York, or I'm in LA, from LA to New York without driving to New York. It's a dumb debate. Of course you have to take action. And the thing is this too, so many people have sort of gotten into the fantasy version of the law of attraction. You do use your imagination to create reality. But when we're too afraid of this dimension and what you have to do in this dimension, a lot of people will dissociate and get into spiritual fantasy where they sit around all day thinking about having the thing, feeling as if they have it. I spent years doing this, trust me. And it feels amazing, but it never shows up. The reason it never shows up is because we're afraid to actually embody it. We're afraid to actually take the action necessary to make it happen. You can fantasize all day about being on stage in front of people, but if every time you go to speak you're terrified, that's never going to happen. It's never going to come. And the hardest part is the embodiment of it. It's the 3D aspect of it. It's the going out, walking through the fear, and actually physically becoming the person who has those things. So you have to be very careful when you over-focus on the manifestation, on the creation of the manifestation. So you want 10, 15% of your energy to be on, this is what I want to create for myself. And then the rest of it is on becoming that person. And 95%, I'm just making that up, of the reason why the things don't come is because of our woundedness. Because so many of us are so wounded and traumatized and we can't accept the love that we really want, so we fantasize about it. You can fantasize about having a relationship, but if you're still traumatized from not getting the love you wanted as a child, the relationship isn't going to show up, or if it does, it's going to be distorted, it's going to reflect your trauma, it's going to bounce off, and it's going to leave. And then people get obsessed and are like, I need my specific person, I need my specific person, I need my specific person, because they're coming from the woundedness, because they think that specific person's going to make them feel better. The internal state not only has to come first, but it's really the only thing there is, because everyone else is a projection of your internal state. I see video after video after video on manifesting your specific person and things you can do to make them come to you. You can't. Not if you're respecting their free will. It's up to them. Plus, what that does is it causes us to try to force things to happen. It brings us into force, it brings us into control, it brings us into ego, and it brings us into excessive amounts of attachment. Why do you need this specific person to love you, to be good enough? Because you don't already believe that. If you did enough, the right person would show up, or you wouldn't need a person right now. And the other point I want to make is this, like so many things that get talked about, the person speaking is coming from one space, and then people kind of collectively develop sort of distorted perceptions of it, and that's kind of what sticks in the general consensus, and we all sort of inherit that and begin to resonate with that. So some of the points that he made were kind of misconstrued, or people are way too focused on the misaligned perception and focus of energy, which is very important to begin to dissolve, to come back into that space of me and God are one. So you want to focus on your healing and on becoming the person that you want to be. It's not ever about the destination. The destinations are cool. It's about who you become, going through yourself, going through challenges, taking steps that scare you, working on healing your wounds, and feeling okay and good as you are wherever you are. The other key point to make here that I've touched on a little is that in Neville Goddard's day, there have always been spiritual masters, right? There have always been people who've transcended, kind of the basic laws of reality and have connected deeply to source. But we now live in a time where like massive amounts of people are doing that. And not only are we doing that, but the whole planet is going into higher dimensions than ever before. So that's why the game has gotten harder. It's like you have to completely, generally, everyone's on a different path. Okay, some people don't, but if you're watching this video to some extent and you're the kind of person I'm trying to reach, you're going to resonate with what I'm talking about. A lot of us are being asked to fully embody all aspects of spirit, which is that Neville Goddard, myself and God are one space. In order to do that, it's like your ego's got to go. The whole thing has to be let go of. Don't do what you want and then do what you like. That was from Autobiography of a Yogi. What they meant by that was you keep trying to do what you want from the ego. There's attachment. You can't have it. You have to surrender. You let go. You go inside. You heal your wounds. You love yourself. You do that over and over and over and over and over again until you get to the space of full spiritual embodiment. And then, yes, the laws of the universe work. You create what you want. But it's so dangerous. It's not dangerous, but it's not wise to focus too much on that. Because no matter how evolved we get, there are probably always higher aspects of us that we're not fully aware of, at least yet, until a human upgrades a lot more. And even then, in order to create what you want, you have to surrender. You have to surrender and let go. That's pure love. Pure love is a combination of your own individuation and your own empowerment and surrender to the source that is all that is. It's not your power. It's God's power. You are God. but it doesn't belong to you specifically. You're a vessel. That's a humble perception. And the create your own reality was training us, and we do, but it was training us how to become more empowered. And that's good. But then we can have misperceptions that tilt over too far into owning the power too much, which shut down the flow of source because we're not open anymore because we're trying to own it too much. So it's all about balance. You want to find that balance between you, source, you, and everyone else, your individuation and the collective. Harmony is in the middle. What we're being asked to do is to find the center, the Trinity, the middle way. And as we all come into our own center by healing ourselves, the collective middle way raises more and more and more as the frequency of the planet raises more and more and more. So again, focus on healing yourself, focus on finding the love within, focus on the journey of becoming who you want to be, not having the thing. The thing is just a prompting for that journey. And then you can always have your power, because your power is just over you. That's the only control we have. It's over us, because the external is a reflection of the internal. And also be aware that we're being asked, a lot of us, to let go of basically all attachment, fear on some level. And things are changing so fast in the reality, and we're changing so fast that even if you manifest what you want 2 days later, you might be in a whole different state of consciousness, which is why it's so important to get this like surrender, turn it over lesson down, and to stop focusing so much on the manifestation. I hope this helps. Please let me know if you have any questions, revelations, breakthroughs. Other than that, thank you so much. I have a free book list. If you want to download it, it's in the description below. 15 books that really helped me heal. Other than that, thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.